Hola, soy Ada.
Y yo soy Dani, and we're back, Ada. We're back.
Yes, we're back with episode 3 of Vida, Imperfecta, the official podcast for the HBO Max series Perfect Life.
And I'm so excited. More things are happening in esta vida imperfecta, dear imperfectos. Thank you so much for being here. Today, the episode title is Cuando tomas un camino inesperado. Again, Ada, I think that these titles are just for me, are just for my life. All my caminos are very inesperados. I always think about how we plan everything. Like do you have like a schedule? You put everything in there, and then your entire day goes completamente al revés. So yeah, for me, this series and the episodes and the name of the episodes are perfect for me. But let's start talking about Gotti.
So we learn a little bit more about Gotti's childhood. He has kind of like a flashback scene as he's talking to Maria about the baby, and we see him maybe as a little boy of 5 years old, and his dad came into school because the teacher called a parent teacher conference, and she is actually informing him of his intellectual disability. So we see his dad come to terms. At first, he was kind of like resisting the teacher, como que no le estaba creyendo, and then he comes to terms with it. And also, you see Gary coming to terms with his own realization that he has an intellectual disability. And, you know, even though his dad at first como que no estaba en eso, you see him later on embracing it and letting him know that it doesn't matter what happens, that he can do whatever he wants to do. He can be whoever he wants to be. And it's really nice to see his parent just really embrace him and commit to like making sure that Gotti's going to have like the best life ever, no matter what his current circumstances are, which I really, really love and appreciate.
Yeah, I was wondering during this scene if Gotti would know about his disability without this conversation. Like imagine him being, I don't know, out in the woods and maybe not knowing this part of his life. ¿Sabes? Que yeah. Maybe es una condición that it's stopping him or he is going to stop him in the future. Maybe it could help you, knowing that you have this disability and you can prepare yourself the way that he's doing in the series until now. Pero, ¿sabes? Quizás if you don't know, maybe you have a life without this preconception, ¿no? Sin saber esta información sobre ti que maybe te limita, it's limiting him, he's in some ways, I don't know.
Claro, and Maria tells him she's almost like, I didn't know if you ever wanted to have kids, and that like really struck me because, he was very defensive, like, why would you think that I wouldn't want to have kids? And again, I feel like there's a part of him about the possibility of him being a dad, I think is something that's going to do a lot of healing for his inner child, because I think he's almost going to get to relive his childhood on his own terms, being an adult, but now having this child, right? So I'm really excited to see what happens if they end up having this child and how he really steps in as a father. Like, I'm really excited to see that dynamic.
¿Tú has pensado en tener hijos?
Sí.
¿No te han dicho que te han recomendado que como tú, o sea, que la gente como tú...
¿La gente como yo? ¿Quieres decir gente con discapacidad?
Sí. Porque lo que tú tienes...
Yo tengo un 43%. Tengo 35% de intelectual y un 8% una pierna.
¿Sobre 100?
Sí.
Eso no es nada. No es nada, o sea, no es nada. Sobre 100 no se te nota.
Ya.
Bueno, se te nota un poco, pero no se te nota mucho. O sea, quiero decir que nos enrollamos y todo, que yo me enrollé... O sea, que yo me hubiera enrollado contigo... Que lo que te quiero decir es que como este garbanzo que llevo dentro lleva tus genes y mis genes... Necesitamos saber cómo es tu ADN para saber si tu discapacidad es hereditaria.
Esto que me has preguntado es de mala educación. Ahora, si me disculpas...
yo nunca pienso if people, they want to become parents. Like, I never think about that. Usually I assume that that's a yes. Right now, I think nowadays, ya no me sorprende when people, they don't want to become parents. But before, I think siempre como que uno esperaba que todo el mundo quería ser padres, you know? And for me, the way that Gary handled the entire situation, the entire conversation was once again amazing. I really enjoy him and the way that he it's so real and so without a filter. But also, like the last part of this interaction with Maria, where she has to ask him about his disability. This conversation, it's so hard. Like, I couldn't imagine being in Maria's shoes. ¿Cómo comienzas tú a tener esta conversación? Like, how you sit down with a person and, look, I need to know about this so I can understand more about my pregnancy. ¿Cómo haces esto?
Yeah, I mean, I cringe watching it, y como que tenía vergüenza ajena watching the scene play out. But, she's a control freak, and it's very understandable that she's trying to learn as much as she can about the situation that she's in so that she can make the best decision for her, and she's worried. You can feel her worriedness. You can feel kind of like her anxiety over the whole situation. And it's very valid, but at the same time, como que ella se pasó con la pregunta que ella le estaba preguntando, because like, I'm like, girl, boundaries, como que tú no tienes filtro.
Yeah, but how? Like, imagine yourself being in that situation, and she's not a perfectionist. She's tiquismiquis. I freaking love that word, man. Necesito esa palabra en mi vida, usarla mucho más. Tiquismiquis. I'm more tiquismiquis. It's more fancy saying tiquismiquis than anything else. Pero
Like a control.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. I don't know how I would handle this situation. How maybe find a specialist, to sit down with you and this other person with a intellectual disability and help you, giving you some tools to have this conversation, because I think that it's gonna be uncomfortable no matter what. It's gonna be hard, and maybe we still need a little bit more of education about this matter, and this is continue, todo el tiempo está cambiando the way that we should address this kind of situation. So yeah, but I really, really enjoy that they are showing us this different story. I thought that I've seen everything in movies, everything in series, but I never seeing a woman quedando embarazada with a guy in the first night, and this guy having this disability. So for me, it's really great. But let's move on now with Christina, because in this episode, definitely now we know that she's not happy with her life at home, in her relationship, with her sex life. And we predicted, Ada, she did something with the guy. Nothing too crazy, okay? Like, okay, but do you consider this that she did masturbating with a picture of another guy cheating? What were you doing
Bueno,
in Pablo's case?
let's set the scene up right, because the fact that she's laying down with her husband, she gets up out of bed in the middle of the night, goes como sneakingly, because she was sneaking to the bathroom con su celular, and
Yeah, but
starts
she knows that she's doing something kind of wrong.
Absolutely. Opens up his picture, zooms into his contact picture, and starts masturbating. And of course, mom life, her daughter comes and interrupts her, knocking on the door that she has to pee, and she's kind of like back to reality. But yeah, she's definitely like playing with fire. And I think, the following day, or I don't know if it was the same day, she goes to work, and one of her clients actually happens to be a grandpa that is looking to get a divorce, because although he loves being a grandfather, at the end of the day, he's still a man. And, he feels like his needs are not being met in his relationship. And I think for her, the past 2 episodes, she feels very unseen in her marriage. And now she hears this older man feeling the same way, como que everything clicked for her. Y como que ella realized, like, sí, es verdad, like, I feel unseen, yo como que estoy harta. And then, dun, 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 she signs up for a dating website for married people.
Well, that exists, guys. People, that's out there. But yeah, this part that you're telling about the client saying all these things about his case, for me was that he was talking directly to Christina, and in that moment she kind of understood what was going on with her, que era lo que estaba pasando, y como bien dices, it's exactly, it clicked in her head, and she completely understands. And yes, I also need to be a woman, and I want to be a woman, and I want to be desired. Y quiero que mi esposo tenga sexo salvaje también conmigo, you know? And this grandpa, the thing that you were saying, this old guy, he knows this, and he's just telling them, and she's like, yeah, man, preach to the choir. So yeah, I feel for her now, and I don't know if I will make the same choices. For sure, I will never, well, never say never, but I don't think that I will sign for a dating app. I don't think that that will be my first way to resolver the situation, porque first, you have to talk to your husband. Look, I'm feeling this way. Let's go to an island and have sex, wild sex, hotel sex. That's a thing. People get crazy in hotels. So let's do this, or let's go to therapy, or let's buy the Kama Sutra before signing in a website for cheaters. No.
Yeah, I feel like como que ella no tiene de otra almost, because it's like she's so, involved. She's so heavily involved in the kid's life, and being the wife and being the boss lady. And como que she's just kind of like, como que everything has come up to the surface, and for her, maybe this is like the only way out, or maybe it's just like a moment. Maybe she's like, oh, maybe if I do this, se me pasa, and I'll be okay. So let's see what happens, because now
true.
I'm curious, Para el gusto se hicieron los colores, so maybe this might work out for her. Let's see.
And the thing that you're saying, maybe it's just one thing for just one time, or maybe she just want to get flirtatious through texting, y ya está, she doesn't want anything more deep. But also, you just said something that made me think about this, that for her, maybe this is the only option that came to her head, or is the easiest, okay, I'm not getting this from my house, I don't want to deal with this, so I'm going to try to find another option without rearranging anything else, sin tener que ver dónde se quedan las niñas if I go on vacation, sin tener que pedir permiso en el trabajo if I'm gonna go away, or without expending money, going to therapy. That's another big issue. People talk about going to therapy, but it's real expensive. So
And what I really love about this series, that normally you see these situations happen with men, right? The men cheating on their wife because they're not satisfied, que esto y que lo otro. So to see a woman kind of standing in her power, standing in her sexuality, her life before, she was very sexually active. Like, she was very connected to herself and her body and her desires. And so to see them honor who she is, even though she's still married, and to see her like, I'm very unfulfilled, because that was a big part of her life. I just really applaud the show for kind of showing a woman in that sense, because you always see it's always the man. It's always the man looking for the pleasure and getting all the pleasure. And to see a woman como like, coño, yo quiero también, is really nice and empowering in a way.
And also women, when usually they are so connected with their body and their sexuality, they're like femme fatales, and you don't kind of connect with that, like you don't relate with that. And we are young women that we also are experiencing these kind of feelings sometimes, y yo no ando con tacones, agujas, una pistola, un corsé, ropa interior super pegada. I'm not that a femme fatale. I'm just a regular woman with needs. And yeah, I love that as well, that they're giving us this story of a normal person, because she appears to be just like us, like anybody. So yeah, but now I want to talk about Esther. I promise, guys, I won't say Esther anymore. I promise. I'm going to work on that. It's because I have my English brain right now. But sí, vamos a hablar de Esther. I love that she finally joins Instagram, que por fin se entregó. Pero I don't think that she's doing that well. Like, she is betting on not being authentic, and we know, because we are content producers, that that's la fórmula para el fracaso in social media, right?
Showing up inauthentically online. And who can blame her? She's still trying to figure out who the hell she is, right? Almost going through like her own version of a midlife crisis, I guess. And then, she's an artist, and that comes with a lot of its own kind of complications. And she wants to be valued for her art and the work that she does.
Oye, ¿tú qué? Por cierto, que te he dado a seguir en Instagram y no me has hecho follow back.
¿Qué dices? ¿Y cómo sabes que tengo Instagram?
Pues porque me ha salido una alerta.
Joder, tía, no me entero de nada.
No, ya. Has subido 13 posts en un día. O sea, no se pueden subir tantas cosas en un día.
¿No?
Y cúrrate las fotos, ¿no? Que se supone que eres un artista.
So I just find it very funny that she's always insta stalking the artist, como que making fun of her, pero la misma vez checking to see what she's doing and then imitating it herself on her own platform, like using the English captions, which, I think is so funny. So like she's failing miserably at social media, but the answer is show up as yourself, show up as authentically. So I hope that she kind of finds her placing on social, but it's really quite funny to see her struggling with it because it reminds me of my own struggles. I've been on,
Of
on
course.
Instagram for 11 years now. And it's like, it
Yeah.
took me a long time to show up as the person I am now because I was still trying to figure myself out. So it's a very interesting journey.
Es que nos ha pasado a todos en las redes sociales that sometimes you're just sharing a picture because people tell you that it's pretty, or you're doing something because maybe somebody's paying you, or because this person that you really admire that is not Esther case because she doesn't admire this other artist that she's imitating. But we all did that. O sea, no creo, this is not something new and we regret it. And I love her reaction immediately after she posted this thing in Instagram, her first picture. I don't know if it was a picture or a video, but I love that she immediately se arrepintió inmediatamente. I had done that. I'm like, oh man, this is gonna give me so many repercussions. I don't know, comments that I really don't like and I don't wanna deal with that. Pero, nowadays, if you don't have a presence, and much more ella que es una artista, es una pintora, if you don't have a presence on social media, people can find you. So I think it was a right move, like the right move, but I don't think that she is doing properly. I hope to see an evolution in this new path that she's going through with this new thing that she's doing with her social media. Pero I don't know, how do you think it's gonna go? Like, you think that she's gonna get insta famous, or she's gonna just be in Esther forever, like joking around and
No,
that's it without any
I
purpose?
feel like yo en realidad pienso que she's gonna be viral. Like something is gonna happen, but it's gonna be bad because for a lot of people, they end up going viral for the wrong reason. So the path that she's headed on, I feel like I mean, mira la foto que se tiró de que una piña in her vagina.
I'm gonna redo that picture for sure. I promise. Not maybe on my crotch, but maybe on my head like Carmen Miranda. I'm gonna try to do something different like that. But just because Esther, I admire her and I love her free spirit. We need people like this, like inspire us to be more real. But that's not what she's doing here. So it's really funny to see este choque, about what she is, what she wants to be. It's kind of a fight. And usually I think with artists, they feel exactly the same thing that she is feeling. Like, you are selling yourself for likes. You're selling your soul. Art should be something that you just feel and you just have fun and you just express yourself. But social media, the way that she describes it and lo describe en la serie, I completely connect with that. That que es solo una fachada and you're just doing that for likes and to people love you and that's it. And also I think that underneath all this, ella tiene mucho miedo. Like, she's super, super scared because also through social media, you get some kind of approval. And usually artists and people that work in front of a microphone or in front of a camera, we just want people to love us. And when you are an artist, you are giving your soul. And if people, they don't like whatever they're seeing, man, eso duele. Like, es difícil
Yes.
volver to come back from that. It hurts. You take it personal.
Course, she's very sensitive about her art. And
Yeah.
my concern for her with social media is that it's very easy to compare yourself to others on social, and so I'm a little concerned about her mental health because she already kind of has like a low self-esteem because she's not where she thought she would be at in life, and she's just struggling, right? She's trying to figure this whole adulting thing out. So I'm a little concerned that like the social media is also going to get the best of her and kind of break her down even more. And let's see how that affects her. I really have that in the back of my mind, like, coño, like this might get to her.
I hope it doesn't goes in that direction. But yeah, I can see where you're coming from. Y sí, sí lo veo. I can see that Esther maybe se puede caer in a kind of depression or something in that side. But there was another thing that happened in this episode that, of course, it reminded me my own life. And I've been in these situations que siempre está como el doble estándar, this double standard when people tell you your entire life about doing something or being something. And then if it's not the exact way that they describe it or the exact way that the society accepts, it's not okay. And this came in the, like, I thought about this in the situation where Gary is telling his dad that he's pregnant, that he got Maria pregnant and he wants to become a dad. And the dad tells him that he's not ready for that and being a dad is super hard and blah, blah, blah. And Gary had the perfect answer. He said, like, you have always told me that if I put my mind into something, I can have whatever I want. So for me, this is, people are always saying these things, but it's only cuando te conviene, you know, cuando está bien según ellos, cuando está bien según la sociedad, y no cuando every time. So stop saying these phrases that could be in a happy birthday card. It's not real. And love that because Gary no tiene filtro, he did it, like, said it perfectly.
Gary te quiere decir una cosa.
¿Qué cosa? ¿Qué cosa, Gary? ¿Qué me quieres decir? ¿Qué pasa?
Díselo.
Gary, ¿qué me quieres decir?
Díselo tú, por favor.
¿Qué está pasando?
A ver. Gary lo quiere tener. Quiere ser padre.
Papá, tú siempre me has dicho que si yo me esfuerzo, yo puedo ser lo que yo quiera, ¿no? Pues yo quiero esto.
Sí, hijo, sí.
How you felt about this scene? You love it, like the way I'm very passionate. You can tell.
Yeah, me too. And you know, you're absolutely right. Like, how dare you tell him you can do whatever you want, you can be whatever you want, pero, you know, one of his dreams is to be a dad. Oh, pero eso no, eso no. And it's
Eso no.
unfair because you can see kind of like the joy that has overcome, like that has come into his life, even at the possibility of him being a dad, because we don't know if Maria's going to keep the baby or not. We don't know what's happening, but even the possibility, como que él tiene una felicidad. And like, how dare you shatter his dream? He just wants to be a dad. Let him live.
Yeah, yeah. But we should work more on this, you know, like what, because words, they tienen un peso. The things that you say, la gente se acuerda y eso queda en la memoria. And because Gary, I think he has this intellectual disorder, he has at least a better memory than I do. So he remembers everything. And I love that he used something that his dad told him before in this conversation para defenderse. So I love this moment, and I also love this interaction between his dad, because also the same connection that we've seen between Esther y Maria, we're seeing this with Gary's dad and Gary, that they have this connection, that they are each other, that they are there for each other. So I love that. Me gusta una relación sana, you know, la familia sanas, with all your problems and everything, because nobody's perfect, a pesar de que this show, the name of this show is Vida Perfecta, but here you guys know that we are imperfectas. But I love this. I love that they show how in a good family, you also can have estas discrepancias, these things that doesn't make sense. Pero bueno, we didn't talk about the abortion subject here.
Oh my God, yes.
Dude.
I mean, so much to unpack. Yes, okay. Come on, Maria and Esther, again, their relationship too, they're so completely different, completely opposite. So there's a scene, they are in Esther's house and they're chatting and she's telling her her concerns, that she doesn't know if she's going to keep the baby or not. And then they bring up a conversation from 2 years ago where supposedly one of Esther's friends gets an abortion, but we come to find out that actually the friend that Esther was talking about the whole time was really her. And I feel like we do that a lot. We say, oh, esto le pasó a mi amiga, but in realidad te pasó a ti, but you tiene vergüenza, you feel like you're going to get judged. So you don't own the story. And, I feel like it's very valid, and I appreciate that they kind of shared her experience, right? Because at the end of the day, for me, I think this is a very controversial topic in the Latinx community. because so much of our culture is rooted in Christianity, it's rooted in Catholicism. So like this is such a really like touchy subject in the community. But at the end of the day, at least my stance on it is like, you know, mind your business. Stop policing people's vagina. Like, you know,
Gotcha,
it's
babe.
not it's mind your business, you know, and I feel very passionate about that for sure. It's like, que haga la gente what is best for them. And we don't know what's best for them because we're not in their shoes and we're not living their lives. So, you know, to see
Exactly.
her share that side of the story and kind of like Maria, like, oh my God, like this whole time it was you and you didn't tell me. What did you feel about that scene and that conversation?
I feel exactly like you do. Yo siento que uno no puede dar una opinión sobre qué quiere hacer una persona si está embarazada y con un embarazo no deseado. You have to be in her shoes. You can give your opinion because it's already a very delicate subject. It's a very complicated decision, and you saying, like, you telling them your opinion, it's not gonna help them at all. It's gonna make things even much complicated. Y al final, it's the way that the thing that you just said. It's her body, it's her womb, it's her baby, you know. So she is the one that have to make the decision. Y creo que es demasiado complicado. Definitivamente no es la situación ideal. Definitivamente, and she talks about that. She always wanted a traditional TV family, and it's kind of hard for her, I think, to make peace with this entire situation. And I love to see this process. I love that Esther also is showing the other side of the coin, el otro lado de la moneda, because you also are concerned about yourself, about if you're going to feel well, if you're going to feel guilty. They talk about this, and I think that this was a very real conversation. It's very sensitive, and I completely agree with you. In the Hispanic world, this is something that we don't talk really often. I remember I had a friend that she talked to me about these kind of situations, and I think that she was trying to tell me something about, I don't know, she getting an abortion or she had an abortion. I really, todavía no lo sé hasta el sol de hoy. I don't know why she was pushing this subject into our conversation, pero todo el mundo se siente muy incómodo, and it's because you are always gonna feel que te están juzgando. And I love that Esther y Maria, Esther, Maria, and Cristina, they have a normal conversation, and they weren't thinking about que te estaban juzgando, you know. They were just concentrating about what's happening right now. Maria is pregnant, and maybe she doesn't want to have this baby, maybe she wants to, and we are just going to be here for her. So me encantó, me pareció un tema súper lindo de la manera en que lo abordaron. And you know, let's see. In the end of this episode, for me, the most beautiful scene until now, it's when Maria finally talks to Gary about the entire situation and what she found out at the doctor. And his reaction, man. Yeah.
Even before we get into that, let me quickly say that I really appreciate how, you know, Maria's doctor is a Black woman. And as an Afro-Latina, I have to point that out because it was like the very first thing that I noticed when they introduced the doctor character. Because, you know, normally when you see, you know, Spanish television, at least me growing up,
Yes.
Black women were always the help. So to see Black women in professional positions like the OBGYN, the dental assistant, I love it. So I just had to give them a shout out for that and point that out because I'm like, yes, doctor, come on, Black lady.
And I think she's Dominican as well. Okay, Banana Power. I see that. She's Dominican?
I'm not sure
Yeah?
if she's Dominican, but I just saw, I was like, come on, Black doctor. I just love to see, like, I love to see it, and I love their relationship, and I love how honest
Yes.
the doctor has been with her, and she's been able to be honest with her. And I'm like, damn, I wish she was my doctor. Doctora.
Yeah, because usually there also hay algunos doctores también que son quite judgy. So sí, perfecto. She was perfect, and she completely como que conectó con su historia, y no la sentí para nada que en ningún momento la hizo repensar su decisión. But yeah, I love this episode. Had a little bit of everything, you know. It was spice with Christina, sex life. We had some cute moments with Gary, with Esther. Also, we had this fun moment. So a little bit of everything. I love Vida Imperfecta, and I'm tengo ansias de ver qué es lo que va a pasar en el próximo episodio acá de la serie por HBO Max. Ada, I love you. I love having these conversations with you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Imperfectos, for listening. And hopefully you guys enjoy it, right, Ada?
Tell your friends, tell your friends, tell your tias, tell your primos, tell your mom. Let's watch the show together. Tell us what you think, and we will see you guys for the next episode. Bye.